Hi, I'm Lisanne Miller with W. Cushing and Company, and this is Third Thursday for November with Lisanne. And today we're going to go over green. We're going to talk about greens. We've already done a video on green as a neutral, so go back and check this. But this is, we're getting into the holiday season. We've looked at reds last year. You can go back and review that video on reds. But now we're going to take a look at green. But first, I hope that you have the November-December issue of Rug Hooking Magazine. Third Thursday is brought to you in conjunction with Rug Hooking Magazine. This is a fabulous issue. Love the mushrooms. This is a great project to do over the Thanksgiving weekend. You just feel like you want to work on it or do something. Very easy instructions. You can do it with children and adults. Here's my favorite Christmas rug. This is Christmas in the Valley. Love it. Ron claims it's the reason why I bought the company, but I love this pattern. I loved hooking it. In here also is another great article. Oh, here's the mushrooms, some more of the mushrooms. Isn't that adorable? And about the legend of the mushrooms as well. But in here is a rug called Cape May, and it was hooked by Amzie Collins. And it is an interesting rug. I hope you read her article. Amzie always does a really good, she calls it Conquering Cape May. It's on page 26. Here it is. But there's an interesting little lesson with Cape May I'd like to share with everybody. Cape May was originally brought out in the 1890s, 1900s. This is a Ralph Burnham pattern. And yes, we do have the catalog that shows it as a black and white. When this Burnham pattern was changed and sold to Ruth Hall, it became Cape May. And it is still being produced today, which is just a testament to our rug hooking industry. We still print it today. And many of you have hooked this rug, which brings me to another feature that we're going to have in Rug Hooking Magazine starting next spring. It's called Same But Different. Working in conjunction with Caitlin, it is going to be a new feature. We're going to do the same pattern, but people who hooked it differently. Stay tuned. We are going to do that with Prudence. I know a lot of you have hooked Prudence. We're going to do it with Oak Leaf and Acorn, and also with Here Comes Santa. And we probably will do it with Cape May as long as we keep the column running. So the details on how to send it to me, what I need from you will be coming on the Facebook page and in the magazine shortly. So get those cameras ready, get a few sentences ready about what you loved about the pattern, and then we can all enjoy the column, Same But Different. So let's get on to Third Thursday. Third Thursday in greens. Well, I love green. I love green and red. I started this. This is called Joy. It's a Joy Wreath. It was our word for the year for last year. And what I did, I have a lot of cut greens. We all have a lot of cut wool. And I like to bag my cut wool by color, just by throwing it all together. Yes, this is a hen's nest or a hornet's nest, whatever you want to say. But you can see all the greens. You can see all the different values, and this is how I start, because greens being a neutral, but also greens appeal in different values to different people or based on what you're doing. And sometimes you need to have bigger pieces like this when you go to color plan with greens. And then you can decide, do you want the dark, the real light? Well, in this case, I've gone from dark, and this is a very light green in here. And actually, this is not white. This is actually almost a mint green in the smallest minute value, so that if white would be too stark. And I like I like a red. I don't like a bright red. So when you're picking holiday colors, when you pick your greens, then you can pick your reds to go with it. So if your greens are ramped up, if you like bright greens, sparkly greens, then of course you can use a bolder red, but don't leave out burgundy or wine when you're doing that. And as you can see, there's all different values of the green, and I'm just using it, and I'm using my dark green to draw the viewer's eye around. So when I get to my darkest value, I am strategically placing it along. Yes, I did sculpt the berries so that the berries would stand up. I multi-sculpted them, and that's going to be a little lesson in December. I'm going to show you how to use different colors, different values of the same color, and how to do a multi-sculpt so that you get the shading and the highlighting in. It's a lot of fun to do. You have a lot of fun with it, and you can see the result is a lot of fun. So let's talk about greens. When you use greens, I like more muted greens. I like a drabber green like this. This is my comfort zone of greens, okay? I keep this and I keep it on a safety pin. I don't cut from here because these are my comfort zone of greens. And then I use what I've already cut, my nibs and nabs, I use those to match this. And I would recommend this if you have a color that you like, if it's green, if it's red, if it's purple, if it's pink, and you have values you like. Keep it just in a regular safety pin. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And keep it someplace where you won't cut into it or you won't use it in a rug so that when you're looking for values, you know this is what you like. It's a good little handy tip, and I love to keep it that way as long as Max doesn't run off with it. So let's look at some textured greens. We're going to look at dyed greens and textured greens that work. They all work together. They all look good together. And underneath here is Prudence, and we're going to look at how the greens, blue greens to olive green, all play together. This is Green Giant. It is a texture. It's a thicker texture. I have cut it down to a 4. I know a lot of you have asked me what size cut, so I will be including that a little bit more. I love this because it's two-sided. You automatically get a match. You get a match. And then it does fill in with my colors and my darker colors. So I love this. This is a great stash builder if the dark greens are for you. And we're going to do textures first, then dyed. This is Lake Shadows. This is a heather tone, and you're going to say, well, it kind of looks gray. Well, it's got blue, gray, red, and green in it. It is a heather tone. This is a nice neutral in a neutral green. So this is if you need a background, you're doing a monochromatic of greens, this is a great background. I could have used this for the berries. It's light enough. It makes just a great accent, a vein in a leaf, anything like that. Very nice. This is Pesto. Pesto is a brighter green, but it's not so bright or neon. It goes very well with this. And Pesto, I would cut down to a 5. You could possibly cut in a 4. I haven't yet. But this has a tinge of blue. There's a tinge of blue in this heather tone. And as long as you still can put these three together, the blue comes out now quite a bit in Lake Shadow. But in Pesto, there is blue. This is another heather tone, but a brighter one. Here's Gloworm. Gloworm gets overlooked. Gloworm, you can cut down to about a 5. Gloworm is a bright, Gloworm is a real chameleon. It will change by what you put around it. It is a great background, and it also goes with Lake Shadow. You can see this mimics Lake Shadow in a lighter form. So if you look at your greens, you start to see how they can all work together. Gloworm really gets overlooked. Don't overlook it if it's in your stash because you're going to really use it. Here we go with Wasabi. Wasabi is more of an olive green. Now look how this grays. Once I put Wasabi in here, this is a seeded wool. You can cut it down to a 5. I have cut it on a 4. but you see how this grays out, but that's okay. It gives it a different look. Here is Teacher's Pet. This is an even check. Teacher's Pet, the little line in here picks up Gloworm. It also lightens Gloworm, deepens Green Giant, and kind of takes the blue edge and accents the blue edge in Pesto. So this is a nice little pile, nice little braid of greens if you're stash building or if you have it in your stash. And these could all be used in a Christmas wreath, Christmas trees, holiday poinsettia, holiday ivy, whatever you have, this would work. And now we're going to, and the last green texture that I have is great green plaid. Now you know, everybody knows I'll dissect this plaid, light, dark, or you can just cut it and let it be. If you notice, I set it over here on the cut wool, because if you don't have enough in your nibs and nabs, great green plaid really works into this, really picks up all the colors, as it does in here. So great green plaid is another nice texture for you to have in greens for the holiday season. This also has a tinge of blue. It picks up the blue in Pesto, picks up a little bit of the gray in here, but overall works really well together. So the entire lot is this. Nice braid, nice looking, very good. So now, if we want to go with some mixed media, Galaxy yarn, this is the green, and if you notice, suppose you're a person that likes pink or fuchsia with your greens, that is mixed in here. This is not a hard cord, it's very soft. You can add this in for to enhance. This can be a vein, then you can do the berries to match the vein. You can do anything you would like with this. If you want to add this with a poinsettia, you can pick the poinsettia colors off of this. If you want to do a Celtic, holiday Celtic design, the yarn gives you a different texture to help with the wrap of the Celtics. Now, I know we have girls that like sparkle, and everybody likes sparkle over at the holidays. So this is Glisten, and this is a bright Glisten. A bright Glisten really works well. It works well with wasabi. This is if you want a real spark. You can hook with it. It is a tube, as you can see, and it will hook as an outline or in a fine cut as a 3. So it's nice to add in, it's nice to accent with, but if you're a sparkle, and I know a lot of you like sparkle, the Glisten works well. Here's the dark green Glisten, and see, this is the Glisten, this is how it glistens, but it is a tube. And this is a little richer, not as bright for those that want it a little calmer, so you can put that in there as well. And they all work really well together. So now, oh, and I almost forgot about the velvet. This is the time of year for velvet, that's for sure. We all like velvet. This is a boho velvet. What does that mean? A boho velvet is a thinner velvet. It has a core. It hooks like a size 4, makes a great vein. You can ramp it up with a Glisten. You can add it for a richness with the Galaxy, or just use it with the textured wool as is, because every time we change the way something looks, it's a little shinier, a little bit different in value. We add depth and dimension. So this is another great, if you're making a snowman scarf, you want it green. Here you go, here's your colors. And the velvet adds that richness. Something else that I like to add the richness with, that was in the basket, here we go, the metallic. This is the metallic. This is 100% wool yarn. The 100% wool yarn, it does hook. It is slick because it has the metallic. You should use a mixed media hook to hook with it. You can, and with all of these, you can punch. You can do the Oxford punch with all of these. This is a little deeper, goes with this. But if you're looking for depth and dimension and you don't want a lot of it, this really brings it in. So that is our mixed media greens for right now. And we're going to step over until the dyed greens. So the textures are here. We've gone over the textures. And now we're going to move into some dyed wools, dyed greens. And yes, you can mix textured and dyed. It gives you a lot of definition, a lot to work with. A green monochromatic, I can hear some people going, yes, let's do that. And yeah, you can. So here is what I would consider a blue-green. And the blue-green goes, it's a little brighter, but can also stand on its own. And this is one of our graduated colors. This is a graduated green. If you're doing a tree or if you're doing a leaf, poinsettia, anything like that, holly and ivy, this works. But look how nice it works with this. When you bring in a texture sometimes to the dyed, it can dull it. This does dull it. The pesto does ramp it up a little bit, but on their own, you get a lot of motion, especially if it's a graduated dye. This is a little bit brighter. This is also what we call an ombre. This is grasshopper ombre. Again, a blue-green and a yellow-green all in one. But at least all in one, it gives you a lot. So if you're stash building, this would stash build. The ombre gives you all of it into one, from light to dark. So the piece starts here and it ends here like that. And added in with that, you get a lot of different greens to use. Suppose you're doing a hedge of pine trees, or a hedgerow of pine trees, or just trees, tops of trees. This is a good way to get motion, but not have too much motion. Here we have on a texture, an overdye on a texture. And this is an interesting overdye on a texture because it goes from blue-green to olive green. So again, landscapes, pictorials, ivy, holly. With this, with having it done on the texture, with having the red show and a little bit of the blue, it helps you to color plan. If you feel that you can't color plan well, it helps you to color plan to pick a red, to pick a blue, to pick a tan, or if you're picking a sky, you can look into the texture to see what goes, and that does help you. This is vergra. This is definitely a blue-green. Different values throughout. This is an intense blue-green. It would, you'd have to be careful where you used it, but still a good blue-green. Now we're going to get into some darker greens that you don't, and duller greens. This is forest because it is a forest of colors. And it has a lot of motion. It has the gray in it, but it also is a very dull green. We haven't got into the dull greens yet, and this is a very dull green, but with a beautiful sky, on a lake scene, this would be just absolutely awesome. This is a brighter green. It's Jacob's Spring Green. And when you're looking at your greens and when you're going to look to add to your stash, make sure you have motion, make sure you have different colors throughout, as you can see, because that allows you to start the blending process. And once you start the blending process and you have a piece, you can then go and look at what else you have to match with it. Wasabi goes with that. Gloworm. Now they're not dulling it. These are not as bright. They're not dulling it like it did with the first batch. You could even bring a little pesto in, and then you can bring in great green plaid. Great green plaid, but also green giant. Green giant is one of the ones that would really accent. Again, very good to use together. Of course, using the two together is just fantastic. The last piece I'm going to show you, and then we'll look at how colors play together in Prudence. This has everything in it. And when you get a piece like this, it has blue, it ends in a green, almost the forest, okay? And this helps you pick your reds. If this was a landscape, just say a fall landscape, okay? You can see this pine trees, the forest floor, the leaves turning. This helps you pick your sky with your green. You have to be careful if you're doing a pictorial to pick how you pick your sky. The keys to a good sky are here. The keys to a good red are here. And here's your darker greens, and you can even add plum into the trees. So this gives you a roadmap. Look at what you have, what you're going to use, and use it as a roadmap to help you color plan. Okay? So, they're greens, all different greens that you can imagine. There we are. Now, here we go to Prudence. I used my Prudence, and you'll see a lot of these with same but different, the column, but I wanted mine to have a sea glass type look. Aside from the blues, let's look at the greens. I have a blue-green texture right here. Here it abuts a yellow-green herringbone. Here it is with blue, yellow, and green in a plaid. This is spring plaid. Here's a heavy outline in a darker green. This is blue spruce, the texture, blue and green. So as you see, putting them together, not one of them stands out above the other. They all play together. Here is an olive green. I've used every green imaginable, yet they all go together in harmony. Yes, matching the blues it took a little bit, but I used my greens as my roadmap, and by using my greens as the roadmap, I was able to match my blues. This is a darker blue because this has yellow, green, and a light blue. This has a little bit of purple because this is blue-green, but right in here is olive green. Then here's a yellow-green. So when you have enough of the colors, especially the green, you can springboard right off of this. So if blue and green is not what you'd like, you could have used these greens and put red in, or put burgundy in, or put eggplant in. It's endless, the color combinations. But you can tell every type of green is in this rug, and they all play very well together. So look at your greens in a different way. Look to use your greens as we enter into the season of red and green. And also for your pictorials, look at different greens. This is a kaleidoscope of sheep, and every grass is a different green. The sheeps didn't change color, but the greens did, and they look a little different every time. The backgrounds did change. That's where you see where the skies have to change to work with the greens. So I hope you go into your stash, or if you don't have a stash of greens, I hope you start to build your stash of greens. Entering into the season of red and green is a good time to do so. I hope you enjoy it. I hope if you and your family have a wonderful Thanksgiving and enjoy it and make memories. Bye for now.